We're starting off high.
We can get
I think
two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
there was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live at Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
Trust a human to raise back wolves.
before I would trust a human to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you. Welcome to not another edition, the first edition of Two Fools Review.
Oh yeah.
And tonight we are coming in hot off of seeing Dune 2 in theaters just a couple hours ago.
What was that called before?
What was that? Oh, the Geeky Coach Reviews, the review show.
Yeah, okay.
Which I may keep my own, but you know, if we're gonna hop on and do one together, I can't call it the Geeky Coach Reviews.
Why not be the real Siskel and Ebert? I said the real, not the real.
Well, I made the joke earlier that we are Han Solo and Lando Calrissian. I don't know if that's true, but you're smooth like Billy D. I don't know if I got Harrison Ford chops though.
You know, I'm a smooth motherfucker. I don't know how to fly a plane, but I can tell all you gotta be able to do is see.
True. Which is a callback to a conversation. Oh man. So, initial thoughts, sir. So we went and saw Dune 2 this afternoon. We're both, I think, decent fans of the first one.
Yeah.
And, I mean...
I watched it more than once, which would...
For you, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially given how fucking long these movies are.
Right. But like I said to you before, you know, off air, if it's a good movie, I think that's a good time.
Yeah.
2.5 hours is a good time for a good movie.
It has to be good, though. Otherwise, it feels like it's dragging.
And that may be because I'm pretty stingy with my cash flow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm paying that much for a movie...
Well, I think it's different going and seeing it in the theaters, too, versus waiting for it to come to streaming and all that.
Right. Then it better be an experience is all I'm getting at. And
I feel like today, so we went and saw it at one of those Prime theaters.
right.
And like the seats reverberate and all of that. So it felt like a little more immersive in that sense for me anyways.
Yeah, I was wondering if they just had a good sound system or if they had something going on.
Yeah, it's like they have rumble packs in the chairs like a gaming chair.
Yeah, that might be what that was as well. But overall, as the movie goes, I'll say that for somebody that doesn't know a lot about the, you know, Dune universe, it's still captivating, but for me, I like the first one a little more.
And why is that?
Because I feel like there was some sort of disconnect there. Like I feel like they like jumped timelines.
That they set stuff up that you felt they didn't deliver on in the
right,
second
like
one.
I didn't like it. Never connected with me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it almost seemed like a new part like a new chapter,
instead of the
but we didn't pick up exactly. We didn't pick up on.
So the first one ends with him fighting
that one dude,
Jameis. And the second one starts with like his body laying out.
Brought in, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Like I felt like it picked right up where the last one left off. Like I could see watching this back to back and getting rid of the intro credits on the first one and just watching it as like an extended edition or like a full movie. Now obviously that makes it like 5 hours long. We're in Lord of the Rings extended edition territory at that point, but
I mean it's still. I feel like even for the average watcher, it would keep your attention throughout. But I just feel like it was more so made for the fanatic than
for the casual viewer.
Exactly.
I could see that a little bit.
Because there were parts that happened in this one that we watched where I wanted to lean over and be like, where did that come from?
Was that from the flashbacks in the
last
one? Or the visions in the last one? Yeah.
It was a few things that I was like,
Well, I think the thing that surprised me on it was, and you and I talked a little bit about this coming out of the theater, and for those that, I don't know that I said this blatantly at the start, but this is going to be a spoiler discussion, so we're going to talk about shit that happens in the movie. Based on a book that was written 60 years ago, 70 years ago. I actually agree with your point in the sense that while there were some big like action set pieces,
right,
they were not the focus of the movie. Like this doesn't feel like the term that I've heard thrown around is like blockbuster or a popcorn flick. Like you just go and chew your popcorn and watch the big action set pieces. Like, even the final battle at the end didn't feel like it was really a focus. Like, they rushed through it a bit. And I'm wondering if there's an extended cut where, like, there's more action set pieces to it. Because the action scenes in this were, like, what? Him riding the worm. Or him learning how to ride the worm.
Right.
And then it was, like, the one-on-one fights. Like, the big battles, they didn't really focus on the big battle.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
I'm glad that you brought that up. And I'm sorry. Don't mean to bring out my scalpel, but you brought something up to me.
Okay.
I don't like how you are absolutely correct. Like, one of the high points of the movie was him riding the worm. But then they diluted it by showing
everybody riding. But
that
was kind of the point, though, was that it was a Fremen thing.
Right. Like, only one that has
one with the desert.
Right. I get it. But it's still like.
And he rode the biggest one. He rode Shai Hulud, not just any worm, Shai Hulud. Like one of the grandfather worms.
Right. And I get it.
But you're right. Visually on screen, they all look the fucking same.
Right. You didn't do anything to make that
one separate them.
Right. Like, it was just... And then, the end, like you said, the last fight, it was like, come on now. Like, you've gained so much power that you can see people's dreams.
Yeah.
And you didn't know what moves that nigga was about to hit you with.
Well, and that's something that I feel like and I'm trying to remember, like, I don't know that I remember that scene in particular in the book, but like to your point, like he's unstoppable by that point in the book,
right?
And he didn't. I mean, obviously not because he got stabbed, right?
Right, but don't get me wrong. Even when he got stabbed, I had a feeling, even as somebody that didn't know the story, that it was kind of sacrificial.
It was like to bring him in, so that he could strike the killing blow.
Right.
Yeah.
I got that vibe from the scene, but it was still to like the common eye. It was like you kind of had to know what was going on to follow the entire...
Question, though. Were you there when that dude fought earlier? Not Paul, but the other guy, the other Harkonnen?
Yeah, and he turned off his...
He threw off his shield. Yeah, okay, I couldn't remember if that was when you had gotten up to use the restroom or whatnot, but that was the only reason why I felt like it was earned a little bit. because that dude. I mean, here's the flip side.
No, it wasn't.
That dude. Were you there when the Harkonnen had to put his hand in the Gom Jabbar or in the box?
And they said that
he was just as strong as Paul, and like he enjoyed pain. They didn't
say that quite.
Not quite, but that's what they were getting at. Was he was the other bloodline.
He enjoyed pain on a deviant level,
right? But the whole point of that scene was that like him and Paul were brought up on the same bloodline track to like bring the was it Kinsarat.
Who was his mother then?
I don't know that we knew that,
and that's why I feel like
it's a Bene Gesserit. We know it's a Bene. We know it's another Bene Gesserit.
But that's another fall through, though. You don't even have to introduce her story, but you would at least want to introduce that so the casual could understand that he's of the same bloodline.
I mean, they talked. They did talk about that a lot, and that may have been when you were in the restroom.
Okay, I connected the two when they put him they went
into pretty like they went into depth on that for like 3 or 4 minutes when the Reverend Mother was talking to the Emperor's daughter.
Okay,
so maybe you missed that part.
That makes sense then, because my last issue that I had with the movie was...
Is it going to be what we talked about?
Oh, so I have two then.
Two more things?
Yeah, I have two then. The one, just from a casual standpoint, that we talked about walking out is you expected to see the last fight where he was in all white and he was fighting through the gray enemy.
And they kind of skipped through that part.
That didn't happen.
Right.
And they went straight to him fighting the Holy War, taking on the people where he came from.
Well, and that's where I wonder if that final battle, if there's like an extended scene that shows more of that final battle before he walks into like the palace.
Yeah, because he did like that. It was almost the opposite, right? Because in the first one, it was like he was the savior dressed in all white there to fight and do everything that it took. In that one, he was cloaked in all black, walking, splitting seas, like, just move out of my way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good call out. But I guess the flip side of that could be the message there could have been that once he drank the water of life, like that, those other possibilities were no longer reality. They were just possibilities. They weren't.
And that's
they
why
were possible futures, not the future.
That's why I feel like it was made for people who know the universe.
Know it more.
Yeah,
that's
who understand the universe a little bit more. Because there was a lot of connections made. You know what I mean? Lot of. It was a lot of openings, I thought. Like, when the mom turned around and was the reason that he didn't want to go south. Because she had already put in motion, like, him becoming basically a god. Right, and nothing played out with that.
Right. Well, it did, though. Like, that was the whole reason he drank the water of life. Like, because that was all shit she had put in motion.
Right.
Which means that, like, he is still kind of the child of prophecy from a Bene Gesserit standpoint.
And that leads me to my final. My final was when he said, "Hello, cousin."
Yeah.
Before he fought him at the end of the fight. And the dude, like, recognized him but didn't really recognize him. That led me to believe that the bald head dude, pale-faced Charlie Villanueva, he thought he was the one.
Oh, of course. But that was, again, because they were brought up in the same, like, plot. Like, they were two different arms of the same plot.
But I guess my issue that I had with the movie was that pale-faced Charlie Villanueva didn't have any understanding of the fact that
what he could be.
Not even that. You didn't even fulfill half of the prophecy.
Yeah.
you're just of the same blood and you passed the test with the poison needle, but you didn't know the ways of the sand.
Right. You didn't go into the desert.
Right. You didn't know the language. You didn't ride the worm. You didn't. So
yeah, you were just a killer.
The fact that you just thought you were of enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you got to be realistic about things. And if this is a family member of mine, meaning we both have the blood that could be the so-called savior,
right?
But he's the guy that's representing the sand people, and we know that the prophecy says you have to be of the sand people.
Yeah.
Then wait the fuck a minute here. What do you want?
Well, he was following orders from his father and from the emperor around.
Wait the fuck a minute here, though. Wait a minute. Let's not just waste my talents here. You hear what I'm saying? If any movie ended like that, then it wouldn't be enough to record. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Because wait a minute. I get it, right? Like he did it already. He's already did it. At this point, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, I understand we're on two different sides, but if we're both fighting for the same position and I see that you've already accomplished all, then at this point, all I can do is rock with you and wait to see if you fall and I can pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
But there's no point for me to be opposing you. You already got it, G. You know what I'm saying? You already got it. Congratulations, you got it. And I'll fight with you.
Right.
Even if I have an envy in me that wants you a spot, I'll still fight with you. But if you fall, I'm coming right back behind you. And in a sense, that's what you wanted in the first place, because that's what he said under the tent. Then I'll die.
Right.
But that won't stop other people from pushing forward the same.
Right. So that was already set in motion by that point, whether he lived or died.
So, motherfucker, like, how can you be the chosen one and you don't even have common sense?
You ain't got no damn sense.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't have no fucking sense. You're just following blindly.
Right.
Like, how could you be the Messiah, but you're following them blindly?
Here's the flip side is that, to your point, the nephew wasn't raised that way. Paul was. Like, his mom was a little bit of a heretic.
That's why I said they should have at least introduced the mother
on that one.
Even if they did it in a she's a deadbeat way, like she was real hard on him, or like introduce her though, so we at least know.
But they did. He killed his mother. That was the plot point that they made, was that he killed his mother.
He did. I remember them saying that. Did they show it in the movie?
No, they didn't show it in the movie. But we know she had to have been another Bene Gesserit.
And who has one bartender at a fucking movie theater? And she's slow as fuck.
She was slow.
She's slow as fuck. Like,
you left and I felt like you were gone for like 20 minutes there in the middle.
And you know what's crazy about it? I took another piss, but it was only one person in front. Well, it was two people in front of me. A couple and then a little Indian girl. She left out of line because they were taking so long. And the people in front of me ordered 2 whiskey sours.
Like, that doesn't take long.
She made them individually.
Instead of doing 2. It's because she's
double up the fucking.
She's following the corporate handbook.
Double up the ratio. What the fuck are you doing? We're waiting here.
So the moral of the story here is Cliff had a bigger problem with the bartender.
Man, I still tipped her. She still got.
You tipped her well for the first set of drinks.
I tipped her well for the second.
Nice. That was kind of you. So I think that I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I thought they did I think they did the right amount of, like, Paul in the desert. Like I said, when we left the first one, I said, like, that's got to be the majority of the second movie.
I remember that.
And it was, but then they truncated the end. Like, that last battle takes a good chunk of the book. And so they made that battle shorter. They still kind of paid it off the same way in terms of they got the atomics.
Sped it up.
But they did. Well, and maybe that's just because it was already a 2:45 movie. Like, that's where I'm curious to see if there's like a Denis Villeneuve cut that is 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, I would like to see that if it was.
Right.
Because I do feel like they cut through that. They sped it up.
Well, and it's interesting that they made the choice to cut.
Sorry.
No, it's interesting they made the choice to cut the long battle, because that is what you would expect.
That's what I wanted.
Is going to get the casual.
That's
fans.
what I wanted. At least 15 minutes of war.
Yeah, and we got like 5.
Right. In Mortal Kombat for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
1v1 fights.
Yeah, because there was nothing like when Duncan took on the Sardaukar, when Jason Momoa took on the Emperor's army in the first one. I almost
feel like
they almost did too many little battles leading up to it, like when they were attacking the harvesters and shit.
That first one, the way they set it up, when they like showed what he had the potential of being, that was like the orgasm. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, this motherfucker is going off. He's letting loose.
Right.
And
but then
it was
never
none
really
of that
paid off.
In the second. None of it.
I can see that. I
like,
can't
it
disagree
was all,
with what you're saying.
It was all mental.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm understanding, but it wasn't like limitless. How he was like, well, I know how to fight just because I'm black. Right. You know, move.
You didn't get your Neo moment.
You know what I'm saying? And you let this bald head, pale face Charlie Villanueva stab you up in the ribs. And then you didn't even do nothing with it. Like, it would be different if you did that and he stabbed you and it was one of them, like, oh, and then you just grab him by the throat and lift your hand up and the blade comes out. And he's looking like, oh yeah, he is the one, isn't he? And you're like, yeah. And bring the blade. You didn't do nothing.
Yeah. No, it ended up being more cerebral, and I think they could have done a better job of balancing.
They trying to give
the cerebral and the physical.
They trying to give jobs to AIs. Give me one movie shot. Give me one movie shot.
Now, see, you didn't hit on what I thought you were going to hit on.
What?
Although I don't think you had a problem with it. I think you
Sandy
expected
Cheeks?
It. With
Zendaya
Chani.
was mad she had sandy cheeks. She was mad she had sandy cheeks. He was like, yeah, I'll be you be my wife because you got that. I need some box that don't got
sanding.
Right. Right.
Now, I told you when we were walking out of the theater, and I did verify that in the book he takes both.
Right.
Like, he takes the Empress as like his political marriage,
as he should,
and then he takes Chani as like his actual love, and Chani is the the mother of his children.
Is that the Adam and Eve story that's taking place currently? Like, and I don't mean that like from eating an apple standpoint, but from a standpoint of, and I'm not saying that Adam was all knowing, but if he knows what he needs to do and you're not trusting him,
right,
then in a sense you're eating the apple.
Right.
You knew how powerful he had the potential of being, and you didn't trust in it.
Well, in some ways you even pushed him towards it even at different points. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting because I think that they could do the next book and we could open and he could be with both of them, or they'll make that a subplot where he's basically trying to get Chani back.
But I don't like that.
I don't either.
See, that would then be that now you went Twilight with it, and now you're trying to make it more of an emotional,
right,
like a love story than
then she came to not to her. I don't want to say to her senses, but then.
But she didn't get stabby in this one. We know she stabs him. We know she stabs him. We know that for a fact. We know there's red flags.
Who stabs him? His mom, his sister, or Chani?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're the chosen and your dreams become real, then I can only imagine the faces were accurate. And the way she was acting in this movie, I would only hug her if her hands were empty.
Well, you know the other thing that I'm thinking about now, like they didn't ever, the other thing they didn't really ever pay off was like the Chris knife. The crystal knives that they had, because that was like a big part of the first one, because they talked about...
What is that? Say, what is that?
It's called a Chris knife.
And what is it?
It was the crystal knife, and it's basically a ritual knife that they use when they're reclaiming the water.
The one dude pulled it out when he was fighting Paleface Villanueva.
Did he?
Yeah, but it was like a gold knife, and it had an etching on it because he pulled it out of his back, and they like showed it was like something etched on it.
Gotcha.
Before he got stabbed.
Right.
To stab him with.
That was an interesting visual choice for that to all basically be in black and white there too.
Was it? I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Like the fire, they were fireworks basically, but it was like black. I don't know. It was interesting.
I hope I'm not
the visual choices.
That was because I did not notice that.
And then when they were looking through the binoculars or whatever, the only color was part of the glass, and it was blue lines at the bottom. But the rest of that scene is almost all black and white. It's devoid of color. I don't know. But I thought the overall,
it'll keep your attention even if you don't know, if you're not familiar with the story, it'll keep your attention.
Yeah, and I liked all the kind of political intrigue with the Bene Gesserit and them trying to kind of run things behind the scenes almost as a shadow organization that basically they felt that whether Paul became emperor or whether the one Harkonnen nephew became emperor, they felt like they were still in control. And what it'll be interesting is with his mother as now kind of the head of the Bene Gesserit.
And I feel like he's a pussy.
Yeah? Why is that?
I do. I feel like he's a pussy because he knew his mom was overstepping bounds.
Right, and didn't put her back in her place.
Right. And you don't have to do it in a mean way, but you gotta, It's
interesting that you say that because I feel like in the book he does more.
Because that's
and I'm trying to remember if it was in the first book or the second book.
And that's where my whole thing was. It seemed more like you were using where, putting myself in the position, you're using where I am to manipulate where you want to be. And my whole thing
But they did kind of hint at that. Even the old Reverend Mother was you're dangerous because you're cocky and you don't follow orders. And
didn't we talk about that before we saw the show? I said, bitch, how can you ask her why she was like that with your son and you fucked up first?
Right.
You broke the fucking rules.
But it was all in destiny to get his sister.
And that's
to be born with the water of life before she's born.
Listen, that's the one. That's what I want to see.
Is the rise of the sister?
Yeah, man, because that just seems it almost seemed and I've seen it. You know what I mean? I have a daughter. I've seen the power of a child over their mother. Especially a girl.
Yep.
And it seemed like from the womb, she was already controlling the situation.
Yeah. And she does.
Like the mom was even
she's whispering things in her ear,
right?
Like the entire time.
The mom was even it even gave you like, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it gave you vibes like the mom was trying to figure out information for the daughter.
Yeah.
So what the fuck does that say?
She stays loyal to Paul. That's what it is. She does. Interesting. I was trying to remember because I've read.
Who does? The mom or
the sister?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she's viewed as like an abomination because she's born like with all of that knowledge. And you and I talked about that a little bit in the car or whatever. But
yeah, that's a shame. When you think about it, that's a shame. But fuck, it doesn't matter. You're not in it. How can? That's the crazy thing. How can you be an abomination and your brother's the Messiah?
Right.
I'm exactly what I was meant to be.
Yep.
And if I wasn't meant to be this, I wouldn't be here because my brother knows all.
Absolutely.
How could anyone assume that she's anything other than what she should be? That's crazy.
It is nuts.
And we're there. We're here now. Like, that's where we are currently. It just bugs me out.
So, overall,
how many mugs
you give it?
I'm gonna be a little tough. And it's only because some of the things I just didn't understand. I'll give it 2.75 mugs.
Holy shit. You crazy.
But you know it. You read the books.
That's true. I am more steeped in the lore and those kind of things. I gotta give it 4.5. Like,
I can understand that.
I think that if they had done a better job, and if I were to see an extended cut that didn't rush the ending quite as much, it would be 5.
I'm a casual.
But I felt like, to your point, like, I think they could have done a better job of bringing in the casual audience had they done a little bit more with like some of the action set pieces, especially at the end of the movie.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm a casual. I need to be like.
Well, you're not a super big sci-fi fan either. Like,
you're correct, but this
probably falls more fantasy the same way Star Wars does. But
one thing I will say is I respect the fact that you made a movie to your fanatics.
Yeah.
There's not enough of that.
No, because they always end up like, I mean, even the 1984 Dune, like, it's so short and rushed, like, you don't get anything out of it.
That was the 84?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know why I was saying 81.
You might be right. 81. I know it was in the 80s, but that one did not do it justice. This one did. Like, it did the book justice. And
no, okay, that's an interesting question. Did it do it justice with both together, or did the first one do it justice over the original?
Ooh.
You feel what I'm saying?
I think the problem is that the first Dune movie in the 80s
didn't really explain
was the full story.
Oh, like, really?
it was the entire book squeezed into like 2 hours.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they don't do a good job of like character development at all. Like, they hit the high points, but that's all they hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt that this one did a great job of kind of building Paul's like embracing of it. Right. And that was the thing that the 80s movie didn't do at all. Like, he wanted to be he wanted the power basically in the 80s version. This one, they stayed true to the book where, like, he really didn't want to. And he only did it as, like, a last resort. And I felt like just the character development throughout this one. And even though I don't like where they ended up with Chani.
Who's Chani?
Zendaya.
Okay.
Even though I don't like where they ended up with her not standing by his side, like, she had a good arc. And Stilgar's arc, in terms of...
I like her.
His belief and faith in Paul. Like, I thought that was actually done pretty well in this one, too.
She was really the only thing that... How do I word it? I don't want to say, like, she was the only thing that kept his voice alive, but...
Yeah, it kept, like, Paul alive versus just being the Mahdi.
Let's put it like, you're right. Let's put it like that. It was a lot of chances in that movie for them to give up hope on him and just go about their business.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for her,
and she never really...
prophecy may not have played out.
Which is interesting because she never really believed the prophecy up until the moment where
he knocked
her tear and...
He knocked her up.
We don't know that yet.
That man from a mile of motherfucking way.
She is, and I think I said that earlier.
I know that talk. I know that talk.
The mother
I know
of
that
his
talk
children.
from anybody. Anybody start talking to you like that, you better go to CVS. Get you a plan B.
And then she just said peace out and rode out on a worm and left him there.
You hear me?
You keep your Empress.
I'm gonna need to see you eat it like 21 Savage, man. You ain't about to have the next Moahadid or whatever the fuck they call it. That motherfucker. Hell no. That ain't happening.
All right, so anything else to close us out, sir?
Love everybody, even
Shai Hulud.
You're right. I don't know the language, but them Villanuevas. Love them.
Do us a favor, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell them to troll, and if you like the movie review, maybe we can get a couple more of these over the next year or so.
Cisco and Ebert.
2 thumbs up.
Don't make me
I like to
pour
give
out
them
my
titties
beer.
4 thumbs down. And with all of that, peace out, fools.